Well, he came, he saw, he likely shit his pants a few times, and then he left. I still feel the ick in Alberta. That was yesterday at the G7. He was supposed to stay today, but the blob had to go back to Washington because of what's going on in the Middle East. Of course, he stayed for the dinner. Now, yeah, the stuff going on in the Middle East is kind of a big deal. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that Zelensky's here today. And the last time they met, I imagine the G7 is kind of like a junior high. Like, you know everybody. There are some you don't like. And I feel like the blob is that one that nobody likes. And I don't think he likes feeling that nobody likes him. Now we're never going to know what Macron and Maloney were speaking about, but I can imagine what the eye roll was about. I mean, it's got to be bad when you think that you're the fascist. You're running your country, making it great. And then a real fascist is rolling their eyes. It's too bad. I would probably really like Maloney if she wasn't such a horrible human being. Like, I think she'd be fun to drink with. Except for all the racism and xenophobia. Nazism. Let's take a look at the blob and Carney's presser. It was obviously more of a blob presser. A lot of questions being asked.
Mr. President, welcome to Canada.
Thank you very much.
It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short.
A little bit.
A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day.
Nobody did, because nobody showed up for his parade. Now, normally I would feel bad if someone put on a birthday party and nobody showed up. But when you put on a parade and try to make it about yourself because you're some kind of king, no. I'm glad nobody showed up.
And working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. I'm very much looking forward to meeting them.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it, and we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people, but we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in, and I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in, and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago, but it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake, even though I wasn't in politics and I was very loud about it. It was a mistake, and then you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated, but you would have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to, and I think our primary focus will be trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Grandpa, try to stay on topic. Now, I don't know if he was trying to make a funny, referencing traders. Was Danielle Smith there? She's a trader. I know he meant traders, but still. I love how he makes it all about himself. If he was president, there wouldn't have been a war. I thought you were supposed to solve all that shit. Like I thought you were the one that was going to make it all go away. Yet here we are. But let's just get something straight. Russia was suspended from the G8 in 2014. 2014. Who was prime minister in 2014? Stephen Harper. And then Russia withdrew from the G8 in 2017. They withdrew, probably had a temper tantrum. And the reason they were suspended is they did this silly little thing like invading, which is what they're so good at. And that's why they were suspended with Harper, not Justin. And then, of course, the press had a lot of questions. I'll summarize. The blob said that they support Israel and always have. The blob said that Iran was a day late in their conversations. He wouldn't comment on what the U.S. might do, blah, blah, blah. But when we're talking about trade with Canada, this is what he had to say. Keep an eye on Carney's face. Much like me, Carney does not have a great poker face.
What is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept. Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to...
What? It's quick and simple and precise. Yeah. I can appreciate him no longer calling our prime minister governor. I think referring to him as Mark is a little informal. I mean, it's the G7. People attending have titles. I don't think he would appreciate being called Donnie.
Putin, do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point, because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him, and the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake. You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even, I don't even consider him, he wasn't really an enemy at that time.
I don't know why conservatives are still so obsessed with Justin. But yeah, Putin was an enemy at that time because he invaded Crimea. Not his, but just like the toddler that he is with nuclear weapons, he wanted something and so he took it. But the blob did say something that I think bears repeating.
You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even
I wonder if in that moment of him saying you have your enemy at the table, that somewhere something synapsed appropriately and he realized he is the enemy at this table. I mean, I guess that would require insight. That whole keep your friends close and your enemies closer. How very apropos. Anyway, he's gone now. Back home to deal with the Middle East. Supporting Israel. Defending Putin. Avoiding Zelensky. I don't think Trump likes to travel. And I get it. When you have tummy issues, you want to stay close to home. But this is his first, foray since becoming president. Usually everybody comes to him. He likes that. Now, I would never say one country attacking another country. Sure would make a great distraction from the blob not having to actually deal with a lot of the stuff that might have been happening at the G7. But considering him saying that he supports Israel and always has, and this attack seemingly came out of nowhere, I'm just saying. I also hate the fact that in the world that we're living in right now, in the room there, I gotta side with Maloney and the eye roll over the blob. What a great time to be alive.